Hi, it's me Olivia, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel for interesting stories and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the description. I was surprised that it was my dad doing the insisting, very surprised because he's a macho kind of man, not taken to emotional expression of any kind. Stoic is the best word I think. I know this sounds crazy as hell, but we don't have anyone else to ask Marty. I sat across from him, staring open-mouthed at what he had suggested. It was so outlandish that I could not believe he even asked me. Your mother says she will help you, and that you are small enough to do this believably. Mom sat next to Dad, smiling, yet tense. Dad is 6 feet 4 inches, weighs 260, is hairy like a bear and strong as an ox. He works hard for us, often 10 or 12 hours a day, and he does a more than admirable job, always providing what we needed, and more. Mom, on the other hand, is tiny. An elfin-sized woman, she stands maybe 5 foot if she stretches. They are both in the mid-40s now, I'm their only child. My name is Marty, I'm 17, 5 feet 6 inches tall and weigh 134, with brown hair and eyes. Mom says that this is as big as I'll probably get now. We know this is a terrible imposition on you, Marty, we really do, and if there was any other way. I know, Mom, but you're out of school now, so that's not a problem, money isn't an issue, and your mother will help you. The only question is, will you do this for us? Tell me again why I need to do this, Dad. As you know, the annual dinner dance is 2 months away. All of the officers, their wives, and specifically, their daughters over age 16, are invited. When the invitations were printed, the name of the daughter on our invitation was listed as Mary. Since we do not have a daughter, but they are expecting to see one, we need someone we can trust to become Mary for that night. If you had female cousins, we could ask one of them. We even thought of your friend Gail, who for a variety of reasons we decided against. That leaves only you. I'm up for a promotion and don't want to blow at Marty. They want to see a daughter, so we'll have a daughter. This is ridiculous, Dad. Why can't you just tell them you don't have a daughter and let it go? With a sigh, he told me why. My boss told me she is looking forward to meeting Mary. She is of the mind that if young girls see how well she has done, it will give them the confidence to do the same. Then she told me that if my daughter was as good as I am, then she simply had to meet her. That's why. She expects to meet my daughter Mary, and I need her to do just that. If I screw this up, Dad, we'll both be hanging out a long way, you'll never get promoted, and be the laughingstock of the company. Your mother says that when she is done with you, nobody, maybe even you yourself, will worry. I looked at Mom, then at Dad. I saw pain on Dad's face, that enigmatic smile on Mom's, found no solace in either. I'll try it, but if it turns out badly, then no way. Okay, son, deal. Mom motioned to me and I went with her to my room. You better strip. I need to get some measurements. We'll do this in the morning and take as long as we need to do it right. Okay? Okay, Mom. When she was done, I put on some shorts and a tee, then raided the refrigerator. I didn't know that it was the last time I would do it with such vigor. Mom left my room, then drove off alone on some errand, and I started up the computer, then started a search for sites relating to men dressing as women. Boy, or maybe girl, there were a lot of them. I looked at pictures, downloaded files, noted some online places that sold things to make a transformation easier, then read some stories I found online. In just a few hours I had learned a lot about men dressing and living as women, printed everything out, and went looking for Dad. I told him what I had found, showed him the pictures, which shook him a little, then he told me to get whatever Mom and I thought I needed. Back in my room I decided to wait until after I got dressed up this one time. Maybe it would turn out to be worse than any of us imagined. When Mom returned home, she was grinning, carrying a lot of bags, all with the names of popular stores for women. Nobody said a word that night, but in the morning, after Dad left, Mom once again told me to strip. A hair removal cream was slathered on, then, after a short wait, I went in the shower. Mom waited while I showered, washed my hair, and shaved. When I stepped back into my bedroom wrapped in a towel, I was instantly chilled. The effect of no hair on my body so different. She handed me a pair of panties, blue nylon, and I slipped them on. God! Did that feel good? I was beginning to get an erection, so I tucked things away and turned to face Mother, took the offered robe, put it on, then followed her into her bedroom. We'll do your hair first, Mary, then, while it is setting, I'll show you how to do makeup. It was unsettling to have her call me Mary, but it was just a game so far, and I let it slide. Within a few minutes, my head had turned pink, the color of the rollers, a bit of my hair wound tightly in each one. This is foundation. We use it to make our face all one color so that later, when we do add the color, it looks just right. In your case, we also have to cover that bit of scraggle you call a beard. The woman at the makeup shop suggested that we use my makeup to start, then get the color right later. I had no idea what she was talking about, and nodded my head in mock understanding. This is how you put it on, Mary. Use 2 fingers, spread it out evenly, yes. Just like that. After that, I used a powder to set the foundation, brushing away the excess when was dry. After that came eyeshadow. Green first, drawn in a thin line on my eyelids, then a soft gray over that, and finally a light tan. Mom demonstrated how to do eyeliner, then, following her example, I did the same, drawing a thin black line on each of my upper lids. Under my eyes, I used a black pencil to finish outlining them. I think that's enough for now, Mary. I still did not have a good idea how I would look even though my makeup had already made a significant change in how I looked. Softer, less masculine. With my hair in rollers it was hard to tell, but this is a waist nipper. You need it to help you with the tummy bulge you have. She wrapped it around me, I fastened the hooks up the front, feeling the way it was pulling me in, then she zipped it up and my waist shrunk even more. The bra was brand new. It was one of those new push-em-up models, the ones that make something out of nothing, which for me was perfect since that's exactly what I had. Nothing. Or, that's what I thought. I put it on, pulled the front hooks together and secured them, and all at once I had boobs. The bra is a 36A, Mary. It looks like I was right about the size since you do have enough to fill it up. She reached into each cup and pulled my skin up, adding a small foam pad on each side. Now I really filled the cups. I even had some cleavage. Then came the larger foam pads, which I slipped into my panties in a way that gave me rounder hips and a more pronounced butt. A beige panty brief, then the pantyhose. The sensation as I pulled the pantyhose up my now hairless legs was electric and made me shiver. They feel good, don't they? I looked at her and smiled, then she said, if men knew how they felt, I'll bet they would wear them all of the time. I said nothing as she had me stand up. This is a size 10. I hope it fits. It was a dress. All black, sleeveless, with a round neck. I slipped it over my head and Mom quickly zipped it up. Now these. I stepped into the low heels and walked to the mirror. There was a girl standing there. The hem was at mid-thigh on me, moving up to a slightly flaring skirt, which gave way to a narrow waist, then a modest bust line. Damn! I said. Yes. Damn. Now sit here while I take the rollers out and finish your hair. One by one the rollers came out, leaving my hair extra curly, a lot like little orphan Annie. Not like this, Mom. Heavens no. Just wait until I'm done. With a brush she created a curly, but full, hairstyle that actually looked good on me. Now the lipstick. I traced the red on my lips and stood up to once again look in the mirror. As much as I wanted to deny it, Mary stood there, not Marty in a dress. Take this, Mary. She handed me a purse that seemed heavy to me. I put your wallet and so on in there. Mom checked her watch, smiled, and told me we had an appointment. You want me to leave the house? Of course. You didn't think that we would just try it today, did you? That this was just a one-time thing that you had to do before the dinner dance, did you? She saw the confusion on my face and smiled at me. Mary, you'll have to be a girl from now until the dinner if you want to have any chance at all to do this right. That was news to me. But Mom. That's 2 months away. That's almost enough time for you to get used to being a girl, Mary, just barely enough. Now, quit fussing so much and come with me. As if I had a choice. Besides that, I could never say no to my mother. Where are we going? We have a luncheon date, then a few stops to make. As I took my first steps outside of the house, I saw our neighbor waving at us. Great. Just what I need. I quickly got in the car, feeling the cold leather of the seats on my nylon-clad legs and butt, and boy was that cold. Mom drove us across town to our luncheon date. As she pulled into the parking lot, she told me to watch how I used my hands and walk with her and not try to take my normal stride. As my tiny shoes propelled me inside, I got the hang of it and managed not to embarrass myself. Our date was with Dad. He stood up when we approached the table, his mouth open. Close your mouth, Howard. This is your daughter, Mary Elizabeth. Mom and I sat down while Dad just stared at me. I never thought. I mean, you look like that girl on TV. Thank you, Dad. Mary and I have a few other appointments today, Howard, so we might be late getting home. Let's meet at 4's at 6. He nodded his head yes, unable, I know, to talk much. After lunch, he paid the bill, and on a lark, I kissed him on the cheek before we left, leaving him red-faced. Mom said nothing, refusing to tell me where we were going. You'll see, was the most I could get out of her. The where turned out to be the place she had her nails done. You keep your nails so short that it doesn't look right. Irma can fix that for you, and Betty is going to redo your makeup so that we know what looks best on you. It was a fait accompli as far as Mom was concerned, and did not give me the option to say no, but I tried. Mom! Isn't this a bit over the top? No. This is for the best. Think about all of the girls you know. Do any of them have nails that look like yours? At that moment, my mind went blank. I couldn't manage to think of even one, so Mom grabbed my hand and walked in, with me firmly in tow. So this is Mary. Oh my God, you're gorgeous. Blushing at her kind words, Irma sat me at a small table. Your nails are in terrible shape, Mary, but I can fix that. She clipped, sanded, filed, pasted and glued, then, when she was done, my nails were longer, about an inch past the end of my fingers and filed to a rounded end, then painted a dark reddish color. The nails made my fingers look longer and thinner, a lot more feminine. While my nails were drying, Betty washed off my makeup, then spent 30 minutes doing it over. As she went along, she explained everything she was doing and why, and even let me try a few things. When she was done, I looked in the mirror, and as much as I hated to admit it, I did look better than just pretty good. A lot better. When Mom had done my makeup that morning it was okay, but Betty had made me look so much better that I couldn't believe it. There was no trace I was a male, none. Mom paid the bill, then drove us to a small dress shop. Up to this point it had been nothing but a whirl, yet with people Mom knew and trusted. Now, as Mom walked around the shop, I just knew that she was going to have me try on some things. This is nice, Mary. I looked at what she was holding up. It was a purple sheath dress. It was ugly as sin, and I was sure that if I put it on I would look like a grape, and shook my head no. Not wanting to just stand there and let Mom have all of the say, especially after that ugly purple dress, I started to look around. Suddenly I found myself wondering what I would look like in this skirt or that one, maybe this dress or those two. I also knew that if I did not make a few selections of my own, Mom would do it for me, so I picked out a couple of skirts and 2 dresses. Over here, honey. The woman pointed at a booth, and I went in. The first dress was similar to the one I had on, except it was green. The other dress was longer with a full skirt, white, with a print on it. They both fit. The skirts were both pleated. One tan, the other gray. Mother handed in a suit for me to try on. The jacket was red, the skirt black. Then shorts, a romper suit, and 3 blouses. Mom again paid the bill. Just one more stop, Mary, then we can go home so you can change for dinner. We went to another shop, this one sold lingerie as well as upscale clothing. Without a word, she handed me a dozen panties, 2 bras, 2 slips, then another panty brief. There was a dress hanging on the back of a door, which Mom had me try on. It was royal blue with a round neck, sleeveless. Mom helped me slip it on, then zipped it up. Looking at my reflection in the mirror, I could see that if any one dress was going to make me look like a girl, this was it. It fit like it was made for me. The material swelled over my bust, falling to a tapered waist, then down the straight skirt to the hem, a solid 2 inches above my knees. It's perfect, Mary. I took it off, the woman wrapped up the clothes, and we walked next door to the shoe store where I bought some black, white, and silver heels, then a couple of pairs of flats, in black and white. Now we can go home, Mary. During the first part of the day, I was nervous, of course, afraid of being discovered as a boy dressed like a girl. After my makeup and nails were done, all of the shopping we had done, with not one single person saying or doing anything to Mom or me, I actually began to enjoy myself. It was like a curtain went up and the bright light of self-awareness came on. I now knew that nobody would ever know unless I screwed up or told them, so I actually enjoyed shopping at the last 3 places. Only my male ego kept me from saying out loud that I was enjoying myself. But Mom knew. Moms always seem to know. On the way home she told me that she had been carefully watching me all day. Now you know why women like to feel and look so pretty, don't you? I didn't answer her. Mary, you are beginning to like the way you look, I can see it on your face, so don't try to deny it. It's different, Mom, that's for sure. Only the clothes are different. I don't think it changed the person you are inside. All that's happened today is that you found out that being dressed as a girl can be fun, and that you don't hate it as much as you thought. Now I was afraid to say anything at all, because she was right. We dragged all of the packages to my room, then Mom helped me put them away. You'll need a vanity. Maybe we can find an inexpensive one for you to use. Sure, Mom, whatever. She unzipped my dress and I slipped it off. I can manage from here, Mom, thanks. She left me alone to ponder my fate and change for dinner. I couldn't help myself. I stood in front of the mirror. If I was honest with myself, I would ask this girl for a date. A kind of pretty face, a nice body, and certainly nice legs. That's when I knew that I was going to try very hard to be the best girl I could. I just hoped I wouldn't fall down. It would be very embarrassing to bounce right back up from all of that foam rubber wrapped around my butt. I had the blue dress on, managing to find the trick to doing a back zipper. I stepped into the silver shoes and went in Mom's room to borrow some jewelry. I had thought maybe some pearls, but she said silver, handing me the earrings and a necklace with a bracelet. I slipped the earrings on, fastened the necklace and put the bracelet on, then Mom gave me some perfume. This scent is wonderful, Mary, but I use something else. Why don't you take it? She gave me the small bottle of Obsession and I dabbed some on my wrists, neck and elbows. Using my dark red lipstick, I did my mouth, then took the silver purse Mom handed me. I put an old wallet of mine inside Mary. Why not transfer your things to it and join me in the family room? By the time I had done as Mom told me, I was really getting into the way I looked, and more, starting to enjoy it. We drove to the restaurant and met Dad just after 6. Once again, his eyes popped open when he saw me. Hi, Dad. Hi. You look spectacular. It was all I could do to stop grinning. Over dinner he wanted the gory, minute-by-minute details of our day, but all Mom would say was that we had a fun day, and that she would see to it that I became the girl he needed me to be. I didn't tell him I was beginning to look forward to it. Just as dessert was being served, Gretchen White, Dad's boss, walked up to the table. Dad quickly stood up, then made the introductions. She was gracious, but I thought I saw a flicker of a smile in her eyes when she looked at me. Nice to meet you, Mary. I look forward to having you with us for the dinner. Thank you. She left our table, and all of a sudden I had to use the restroom. Mom, I need to go. She and I left the table for my first foray into no man's land. I finished up, but as I left the stall I did not see Mom, so I opened the door to leave when Gretchen walked in. She and I looked at each other for a moment, then she started to giggle. At me. Can we talk, Mary? I nodded my head yes, and she took my arm as we moved to a small alcove. There was an error in printing those invitations. They went out without being checked. I found out that Howard has one child, a son named Marty, and no daughter. That can only mean that you're Marty. I slumped, almost ready to cry, run, whatever. Only her hand on my arm stopped me. You must love your father a great deal to do this for him, Mary. Not many boys would do it. I looked at her for some sign that she was angry. He has that same effect on a lot of people, Mary, me included. His staff adores him. She touched my hand and smiled. Let me ask you this. If you could, would you drop the charade and go back to being a boy? Or would you like to spend some time as a girl? I didn't want to tell her that I wanted to keep dressing this way, so I went another way. They spent a lot of money on clothes for me today, and it would seem like a big waste if I don't use them, doesn't it? There. For the first time I had almost said that I liked dressing as a girl. I think that even if it was just what you have on, you wouldn't admit that you like it. Not many males can look as good as you do, especially if they didn't like it. Her smile was so enchanting that I was off guard when she said, "Let's not tell him that I know, okay? Mom? You might want to tell her, but make sure she keeps the secret." I will, but why are you doing this? I can't tell you right now, Mary. We hugged in silent agreement, and I went back to the table, but with a new sense of my ability. Dad once again kept staring at me, unable to comprehend how I managed to look the way I do. That night I lay in bed, and read the material I had downloaded once again. In the morning, unwilling to wear that waist nipper again, I used a pair of Mom's old knee-highs and some birdseed to make myself a set of boobs. Trial and error was the only way for me to tell when I had it right, but when I was done they were exactly right, filling the cups of the bra without spilling over. I took the time to try doing my own makeup. It wasn't as good as when Betty did it, but not bad either. As I started to get dressed, I decided on shorts, making sure that I had a feminine profile in front. I wore one of the new blouses, ankle socks, and my gym shoes. Brushing my hair out ruined the curls, so I pulled it into a ponytail and slipped on the gold button earrings. Mom was in the kitchen, but not alone. "Morning, Mary." I nodded at Mom while looking at our neighbor. "When I saw you yesterday, I knew I had to meet you." Beverly was looking at me very carefully, so in self-preservation mode, I acted as feminine as I could, sitting down as if it was nothing for me to be dressed as a girl or that there was anything wrong with it. "You had better be careful, Mary. When the boys see you, they'll go crazy." "Mary isn't that kind of girl, Beverly." "Mom." "Well, you're not." "It doesn't matter, Mary, they'll hit on you anyway." "They will be disappointed, I'm afraid." "Maybe." Her cryptic remark did nothing to calm my quickly fraying nerves. Beverly had a daughter that had been a bit older than I am, and her son Fred, who was in the class 2 ahead of mine. Kelly, her daughter, had been shot during a robbery while she was working at a fast food place. The guy got a few bucks, then life in prison. It had happened less than a year ago, and Beverly would still get a quiver in her voice when she talked about it. The reason I came over is to tell you that we have finally decided to get rid of Kelly's clothes and things. If you can use any of it, please come take them. We have to get past her death. We have to do this, and since Mary needs clothes, well. I looked at Mom, who nodded her head yes. "Okay, thanks, Beverly." An hour later, the three of us were standing in Kelly's room. "Mary wears a size 10, Beverly. That's the same size as Kelly wore most of the time, so a lot of it should fit you." By lunch, Mom, Beverly, and I had carted most of the clothes to our house, along with a jewelry box and the small vanity. Boxes and piles of stuff were on my bed since there was no room in my closet for them and my male clothes. "It was nice of her to give you these clothes, Mary." "I know, Mom, but I'll always know that Kelly wore them. I hope it doesn't give me the creeps." "They won't. They have all been washed. It's just material." She went to my closet and opened it. "These will have to be moved so we can hang up the others, Mary." "I know, Mom, it's just a confirmation of we both know." You found out that you like dressing as a girl more than you want to admit, didn't you? I guess. Well, we started packing up my male clothes. As I started putting away the clothes that Beverly had given me, I would see a skirt or jacket, maybe a dress or two that I had seen Kelly wear. None of them smelled of her perfume, so I knew they had all been cleaned. Kelly had a taste in clothing that was more like what I liked a girl to wear, and as I hung them up, I began to smile. Wearing her clothes was not morbid. It was an honor. No matter where I went, she would be with me, my own private angel, helping me be as feminine as I could. The next day was Friday, the day Mom usually got her hair done, and she asked me if I wanted to have my hair done. She did ask, but the tone in her voice was more a demand rather than a question. Now, I simply accepted the fact that I liked to dress as a girl, and since Dad thought it was going to last a few months, and I had agreed, I nodded my head yes. At her suggestion, I wore a skirt, blouse, and flats. Mom did not try to tell me how to get my hair done, leaving me to make that decision on my own, good or bad. But the stylist knew what she was doing, and when I left the salon my hair had an auburn tint in it, layered in an easy-to-take-care-of pageboy. I also had my ears pierced. It was exciting for me, a totally new experience. That afternoon I was in my room putting things away, sorting them out, and setting up my vanity, when the door opened and in walked Gail. She lived 3 doors down. Gail is the same age as I am, and I have known her since we started school. She looked at me, staring, as I stood there looking back, the proverbial cat holding my tongue. Damn girl. When I found out, I just had to see for myself. Now I'm going to start worrying. I sat on the chair at the vanity while she sat on the bed. I never, ever imagined that you would look so hot if you were dressed up as a girl. I try, Gail. So do I, but you. You look gorgeous. Thanks, but this is only for a few months, then I'll be gone. She walked over to the closet and looked at all of the clothes inside, then at the vanity, and finally, me. No way. None. You have too many clothes for this to be for just a few months, tell me the truth, and don't leave anything out. Unfortunately, she knew me like she was my sister, and had read right through my lie. With a sigh, I told her the entire story. Now, I like it, Gail. I like being a girl. I never would have imagined it before, but there it is. I waited for her to jump up and start running around yelling something foul. Instead, all she did was smile at me. This is great. We were close before, now, we'll probably be even closer. Gail, I'm not a girl. I just look like one. How close can we get? We can share secrets, among other things silly. Then she dropped her bombshell. Listen, I'm having a party tomorrow at my house. I want you to get all fixed up and come. Nope. Please? Nope. But why? Because if someone realized who I was, it would be worse than bad, that's why. Can you imagine what would happen? Sure I can, if that were to happen, but you'll be hit on so many times you'll think you're a drum. If you look this good just wearing a tee and shorts, I can hardly wait to see you in a dress, all fixed up. Please come, and don't worry about being found out, because you won't be. I'll think about it, Gail, was all I could manage to say. After she left, I sat at the vanity, wondering if I could do it. I looked in the closet, selecting 3 dresses I might wear if I decided to go. That night, while we were eating dinner, Mom asked me if I was going to Gail's party. Dad's head instantly popped up when I said yes. I'm getting tired of staying at home, and if I have to dress as a girl, then I might as well enjoy it. I'm going to wear the blue dress again. I said it, but only Mom and I knew it was a lie. I wanted to go, sure. But it wasn't because I had cabin fever. I wanted to go because I had decided that I needed to prove my newfound femininity to myself. If what I was feeling was true, then I had to go. The only question left was how would my friends react to the new me, and could I take whatever happened? Later, I heard Mom and Dad talking, a bit loudly, and it was about me. All I could do was ignore it. In the afternoon, I found the hair removal cream and headed for my room, but Mom stopped me and asked me if I wanted boobs that looked almost real. That would help. I would really hate it if a bird landed on me and started pecking away. I said it in jest. She took it seriously. Then we'll see what we can do about that on Monday. I went in and used the cream, then took a bubble bath. It was my first one, and it was great. My skin felt silky smooth and soft to the touch, just like a girl's. I slipped on the blue panties and sat at the vanity to do my makeup. After doing it for almost a week now, it didn't take long, and I was back to looking almost pretty. My hair fell in place with a few brush strokes, but I used a pair of silver barrettes to hold it back on the sides. The push-up bra didn't do so well without the waist nipper, so I wrapped that around myself and once again created the illusion of boobs. After that I slipped the foam pads in my panties, pulled on the pantyhose, then the panty brief. When I was done, I looked better than ever before. Nothing about my physical self had changed, so it had to be the way I thought about myself when I was dressed as Mary. In my heart, I knew that what I had discovered about myself, this budding femininity of mine, was what I had been searching for. I dabbed on the perfume, did my lipstick, grabbed up my purse, and walked right past Dad and out of the house, straight down the street to Gail's. I did not see Mom smiling as I left the house, or Dad's frown. Gail greeted me at the door, then introduced me to her mother, who had known me almost since birth. "Mom, this Mary. She's new around here." If her mother knew, she gave no indication of it, only smiling as Gail and I walked out on the patio together. There were a few kids there already, and I was again introduced, then we sat at a table. None of them gave any indication they knew it was me. "I have a surprise for you, Mary, but don't be mad at me. There are going to be 5 boys and 5 girls here tonight." I looked around and saw Steve standing by himself. "You set me up, Gail." "Yes, I did. But with only the nicest guy in school." "Gail," I said, but she was already on her way to get Steve. It was all I could do to stay put. "Steve, this is Mary. She's new around here, so don't bite her yet." "Hi, Mary." "Hi, Steve." Gail left, and he sat at the table. "She can't resist it, Mary. She has been trying to get me hooked up for years." It didn't seem like he was interested, so I decided to just be myself. I had no idea she was going to do this to me either, Steve. "We can be friends, right?" "I'm looking forward to it, Mary." Someone started the music. "Hungry?" I nodded my head yes. He took my hand, and we went to the small buffet. "That is a very sexy dress you have on, Mary." Sitting down, I didn't realize it, but now. I touched his arm in thanks, filled a plate, and went back to the table. While we ate, I noticed the way he was looking at me. Not questioning if I was girl, more like someone who was interested all of a sudden. "You live around here, Mary?" "Just down the street, as a matter of fact." "Can I walk you home later?" Now what? With that question, he had confirmed my internal view of myself as a female. All I had to do was say yes, and he would certainly add to my view of myself as Mary. I wasn't sure I was ready for that, but as I was thinking about it, my mouth was saying I'd like that, Stephen. We danced together, talked some more, then later, he walked me home. I was unprepared when he slipped his arm around me and pulled me closer to him. Right on my front porch, under the porch light and all, he spun me around and kissed me right on the lips. I quickly went in the house, leaving him standing there. In the morning I slipped on a skirt and blouse, helped Mom clean up the kitchen, then walked to Gail's house. Giggling, she let me in, then we went to her bedroom. "Stephen called me this morning. He wanted your phone number. You really made an impression on him last night." I sat on her bed as she went on and on. Finally, she asked me if he kissed me. "Never mind that, Gail. You set me up." "He did." "You did." "Was it good?" "Never mind. He never asked me for someone's number before, Mary. You're the very first, which means he likes you a lot." "Great. Now I had a boy after me." All I wanted was to know for myself if what I was feeling was right for me. Now, here comes Steven, and he wants to call me. Did you give it to him? Of course. What a silly question. Thanks. You're quite welcome, Mary. My sarcasm went right over her head, or she ignored it. We talked a bit more, then I went home. At 1 the phone rang, and Dad answered it. Mary, it's for you, he said, scowling as he handed me the phone. It was Steven, of course. He wanted to come over, so I asked the only parent sitting there, my dad. Steven wants to come over for a while. Okay? Oh, okay, I guess. I told Steven, then ran to my room to make sure my makeup was fine, and I smelled good. Tall, Steve had blonde hair and blue eyes. He was well-muscled and had a wonderful smile. I introduced him to Dad, then grabbed something for us to drink on our way out to the patio. When Gail set us up, I never expected someone that would affect me as much as you do, Mary. I haven't had someone affect me like this, ever. But you do. Why don't I know you? I'm new here, Steven, that's why. Then I felt his hand as he set it on my leg, then a gentle squeeze. I want to get to know you a whole lot better, Mary, please let me. Before I could answer him, the phone rang again. Mary. It's for you. I picked up the portable. This is Gretchen White. I have an opening in my office if you want it. I said nothing at first, and she prodded me a bit. You can't stay home all summer cooped up in that house, Mary. Come work here. You'll make some money, and I promise you that it will be just fine. What time? Can you be here at 1? Yes, I think so. I have an appointment in the morning, but 1 should be fine. See you then, Mary, and wear a suit. I have a new job, it starts tomorrow. Are you sick? I heard you say that you have an appointment in the morning. Female problems, Steve. He dropped the subject like a hot rock, but it was true. The problem is that I don't have any boobs because I'm not a female. Mom said we were going to correct that. He stayed about 2 hours, then went home. Dad was watching me like a hawk, so Steven did not try to kiss me again. All that was supposed to happen was a dinner dance. Now you have boys calling you? And coming to the house? He thinks I'm pretty, and he likes me, what's wrong with that? I went to my room before he could answer. Now, if nothing else, I was committed to staying married simply because I had to stand my ground, so to speak. Dad would never understand, and if Mom was right, being fitted for boobs tomorrow would make an even firmer impact on how I felt about myself. In the morning, I told Mom that I had a job. Ms. White told me to be there at 1, so I'll drive my own car today. Does your father know about this? No. Then I told her that Ms. White also knew that I was a son and not a daughter. She asked me to ask you to keep it a secret, Mom. She shook her head, then, after breakfast I got ready, wearing the pink suit that I got from Kelly. I followed Mom to the shop, then inside, I had to endure being naked to the waist, my male chest clearly evident. It took a few hours, but when I left I had what seemed to be perfectly formed, natural breasts that were a big A, as the woman called them. My bra now fit differently, the straps on my shoulders now held the weight of my breasts, and did not slide like they used to. Mom paid the bill, then we had lunch. You'll have to tell your father that he now has a daughter, Mary. He is very confused, what with Steven coming over and all. He still thinks of you as his son. He won't when he sees these puppies. Don't be crude, Mary. Just explain it to him. He'll make an effort to understand, I know he will. Okay, Mom, but I'm not changing back. She said nothing, but a smile lit her face. I met with Ms. White, filled out some papers, using the name M. Grant, and was assigned to her office as a file clerk. You start at 8 in the morning, Mary. Then she handed me first legal ID. It had the name Mary Elizabeth Grant on it with my picture. I put it in my wallet, thanked her, then I went home. As I pulled in the driveway, I saw Steve sitting with my mother on the patio. I joined them, my heels clicking in the concrete as I walked over to them. Stephen stood up as I drew near, then he gave me a kiss as I sat down next to him. I have asked Stephen if he would be your escort to the dinner dance, Mary. He was smiling widely as his hand found my arm. That's fine, Mother. I'll go change real quick. Don't change, Mary. I came over to ask you to dinner. Then let me touch up a bit. I'll be right back. In my room, I quickly touched up my makeup, did my lipstick, added perfume, and rejoined them. Stephen took my hand, and we drove away. You look wonderful, Mary. I'm going to be with the best-looking girl there. Dinner was fine, Stephen trying his best to make me happy. This was all so new to me, yet I sensed rather than knew just what to do. On the way home, he stopped the car under a shady tree and pulled me to him. I was unable to resist him as his lips found mine. I was eager to let him kiss me, and submitted to my desire. His tongue slipped into my mouth as his hand again found my leg. I could feel an accident coming and broke away. You better take me home, Stephen. He did, without a word. As Stephen kissed me, I gave in to him. Why? I was a male. Just like him, yet, something made me feel as if it was the right thing to do, and made me feel very feminine. The next day I was up early, getting ready for work. I had on the same pink jacket, but with a gray pleated skirt. Dad was very surprised to find out I was working for Ms. White. But you don't have any credentials. Dad, I hired an SM Grant. Not Marty or Mary. I forbid you to do this. You have no idea just how damaging this could be. Dad's face had turned red, his whole body tense. Angry now, I blurted out the truth. Why not? She knows about me. What? Tell me what she knows about you. I told him the whole story. She's known from the first time she saw me, Dad. I'm dead. I might as well resign now and save them from the trouble. Why? She knew about me and said nothing. In fact, she hired me the way I am. It'll be fine, Dad. Wait and see. He was more confused than ever before, just like I was. We shared a mass of conflicting emotions. He had asked me to become his daughter and I did. Then I found out I liked it. Neither of us understood why, and that's the core of it. For the next week all I did was find my way around the office, and I saw Stephen 3 times. Gail came over or called, and I found myself telling her things that I had discovered about myself. Sooner or later, Stephen is going to want more than I can give him, Gail. Then what? Mary, we're only 17. Just what do you think you're going to do? Mike and I have been going together since junior high, and all he's ever done is squeeze my boob. That's the point, Gail. You can do that, and maybe even enjoy it. If I let Stephen do that, all he'll get is a handful of silicone, or maybe foam rubber, and I won't feel a thing. That made her giggle, and pretty soon I was giggling as well. You could do a hand job on him, Mary. That would get his attention. Maybe more, Gail. What does that mean? Never mind. When she went home, I thought about what she had said. Could I do it? I didn't know, and was afraid to find out. As we got closer to the dinner dance, Mom and I went shopping for the perfect dresses for ourselves. Mom bought herself a beautiful silver sheath dress that was peppered with sequins. It had a low, round neckline and fell just at her knees. Mine is black, in a cocktail style. The sweetheart neckline is almost too low, but it fits perfectly and shows a lot of cleavage. The skirt is chiffon over satin, the hem 2 inches above my knees. I picked up some black and gold jewelry, Mom some white rhinestones. I spent more time getting ready, using every trick I had learned. My skin was silky smooth and soft, my makeup perfect and my hair done, with Mom's help. I looked good, smelled great, and knew that this was the real me, and I loved it. The minute I stepped out of my room, Dad saw me, and for the first time, my new cleavage. When he was done choking, he told me I looked nice, then ran back to Mom. I was waiting in the family room when Stephen came in. By the look on his face, I scored a huge hit on his sexy meter. Like it? I spun around, letting the skirt flare up, showing an awful lot of leg. When I turned back around, he was right there. Take this, Mary. He pushed his class ring into my hand. I can't. Oh, Stephen. Why did you do this? I felt the tears starting to form in my eyes and ran back to my room, slamming the door. A moment later, Mom came in. He is in love with you, Mary. It was simple for her, she was a woman. Me, I was all nerve and fakery, foam rubber and lipstick. All glitz, no meat. Your father and Steve are talking right now, Mary. Just calm down. While Mom and I talked. Did you understand all that, sir? Why ask me? Because she's your daughter and you have been married a long time. You think that qualifies me? Listen, son, just about the time you think you have a woman figured out, she changes. There isn't a man alive that can say he understands women. I've been married a long time, true, and I know a lot about my wife. That's true. But understand her? Not a chance. And Mary is only a younger version of her mother. Trust me on this, Stephen. Just wait. For what? You'll see. In my room. Stephen is in love with you, Mary, no doubt about it. It's written all over him, his eyes say it loudest. But Mom. Answer this for me. Are you in love with Stephen? Yes or no? It was squeaky, but my yes was clear enough. You listen to me, Mary Elizabeth Grant, I want you to take that ring, and wear it or keep it safe, then I want you to go down there and let that young man know exactly how you feel about him. If you love each other, and it's true love, then you can find a way to get past any problems you have. It was as forceful as Mom had ever sounded. Understand? Yes, Mother. Fix your eyes then. When I returned to the family room, I walked past Dad and right up to Stephen, put my arms around his neck and kissed him as hard as I could. Yes, I said. Dad turned a nice shade of red, but didn't say anything. Shall we go? The dinner was excellent. Afterwards all of the daughters were introduced, but I was last. This young lady, the daughter of Howard and Janet Grant. Mary now works for us as a file clerk. Please welcome her to the firm. They applauded, then Stephen came to get me. We walked out on the veranda and he swept me into his arms. Why do I love you, Mary Elizabeth Grant? Because you can't help yourself, Stephen. That's exactly right, Mary. I felt his hand on my back, pulling me closer. Gail told me, Mary. I felt myself go weak in the knees, afraid to even ask. What did she tell you? That you can't have children. Some kind of childhood disease or something. I was very grateful to Gail right then. She had covered my deficit as well as she could. Monday after work I went to see Gail. You have to be careful what you tell him, Gail. One mistake, and I'll be run over by some very ugly rumors, not to mention what Stephen will do to me, and the others to him. Relax, Mary. I'm trying. Listen, all you have to do is make your body match your mind. I hear it's not complicated anymore, so why not check into it? I said nothing at first, then a light went on in my mind. Maybe I will. Then she started to undress. You can stay. She stripped to her panties and bra and slipped on a romper suit and gym shoes. Seeing her naked had been a long-time dream of mine, but now. Why don't you change and come with me? I was going to the mall just to look around. Okay, but let's go to my house and I change. She sat on the bed as I undressed, pulling out my own romper suit. My breasts jutted out, but she said nothing about that. What made her gasp was how my panties fit. How do you do that? It was my turn to surprise her. You mean this? I said as I yanked my panties down and stepped out of them. Oh my God. I pulled the panties back on and grinned at her. A little something I found on the internet. I can wear it for a week before I have to take it off and clean it, but I can't have an accident and ruin my beauty. Gail was still open-mouthed, so I added to her confusion. I can even have sex. What? I said, I can have sex. If I'm careful about it, that is. Then a smile split her face. Well, I did tell him that you can't have children. Yeah. All I do is wash it out. I pulled on my romper suit, added lipstick, then we left for the mall. Gail bought a pair of shorts, then I found a short mini skirt I liked and got that. I also added to my poor jewelry collection. I had some of Kelly's stuff that Mom had boiled to make sure it was clean, but I wanted my own. I also bought a new wallet while she got a purse. We stopped to have a soft drink, having just sit down when Ms. White walked up. Hi, Mary. Hi. This is my friend Gail. She sat, putting her things on the floor. Your father is being promoted in the morning, the day after tomorrow, Mary. At 9. Come to my office and we'll see him right after that. Promoted to what? He was sure that would never happen because of me. Mary, nobody knows but me, and I didn't tell anyone. Since you have been with us, his star has risen quite high. Everyone comments on your work, and that reflects nicely on him. Wear a suit. That pink one looks so nice on you. I will. Now don't tell him tonight, Mary. Just your mother, and tell her to be there as well. Thanks. She left Gail and I, Gail snickering, me wondering why. Why are you laughing? Because you were so worried. From the moment I first saw you until now, not one person has ever thought you were anything but what you look like. You worry more than my grandmother does. Very funny, Gail. But I guess you're right. So far I haven't had any trouble. Unless you let Stephen find out what you can do for him. Like you said. I'm only 17. My mom says girls our age don't do that kind of thing. Gail snorted at that and quickly pointed out that 3 girls in our class graduated pregnant. So. Because your mom says it doesn't make it true, Mary. I found that out 2 nights later. Stephen and I were at the park, the moonlight was bathing the car, and I was in his arms. My hand accidentally brushed him, he was hard as a rock. He put my hand on him and held me tightly in his arms. Unbidden, my hand began to stroke him, and then he moved, and all at once he was out. That hand job that Gail mentioned? The one I would never do? I was doing it, and I was enjoying it. All at once my hand filled up, and Stephen lay back with a smile on his face. Mary. My lips stopped him from talking, but all at once his hand went under my skirt, to my crotch, and his hand found my slit through my panties. I jerked away and sat back, unwilling to even consider what was on his mind. Well, I was willing to consider it, but... None of that, Stephen. With that grin of his, he put himself back together while I wiped my hand on a tissue. I guess it's not time yet. Not yet. I'll let you know when, Stephen. He took me home, but I missed the entire ride. My mind was centered more on what he had felt like, and less on why I did it for him. The next morning I told Mom about Dad's promotion, then I walked over to Gail's house. Her mother let me in just like always, and I went up to Gail's room. I knocked, and she let me in. She was stark naked, dripping wet. Just a sec, Mary. She grabbed some clothes and went in the bath, returning in her panties and a robe. Want to take a drive, Gail? Sure. Where? I was going to drive over to Stephen's house. I've never seen it. She slipped on some jeans and a top, the same as I had on, then we drove over to Stephen's. As I pulled in the driveway, he walked out of the house. Hi, Mary, Gail. What brings you over here? I came to see you. He stepped back as I opened the door and stepped out, then he took my hand and the 3 of us went in. His mother was in the kitchen. Mom, this is Mary, and Gail. His mother was very tall, with white hair drawn back in a bun, brown eyes, and a gentle-looking face. Stephen has told us a lot about you, dear. I think he's in love. He turned a nice shade of red, grabbed my hand, and we went to the porch and sat down. Mom thinks I'm going to be a monk or something, Mary. She's very excited that I met you. So am I, Stephen. His smile went wide, then he kissed me. We better go, Mary, or you and Stephen will make a scene right here on the porch. I kissed him back before we left. Girl, he wants to jump your bones big time. As I said before, Gail, we don't need to do that. Her snort only reinforced what I knew in my heart. That he and I wanted the same thing. Let's go to my house and use the pool, Mary. We need a girls-only day anyway. Okay. I let her off and went home to change into the only suit I had, one of Kelly's. In my room I dug out the suit, the pink material shiny and soft. The panties were full cut, the top like a low-cut bra. Once I had it on, I pulled on some shorts and one of my old male shirts and grabbed my purse and a towel on the way out. Gail wore her skimpy green bikini and made me feel like a sack, but then, she really was a girl. I slid into the cool water next to her, letting my body adjust to it. You really should look into some of those procedures they have to help girls like you, Mary. I hear you can get boobs, hips, a narrow waist, and thighs all in one day. Benson's? I hear he's the very best, Mary. I bet it costs a ton, which I don't have, Gail. Listen to me, Mary Elizabeth Grant. You're as much a girl as I am and you know it. All you need to do is get your outside to match your inside. Besides, I know you want Stephen to be your first. I'm not going to. I mean, it takes almost 2 years before I could even consider surgery that would allow that, Gail. No matter what I want, those are the facts. That ugly snort of hers sounded again. You don't need surgery for what you can do, Mary. All you need is a nice rack that's not made of birdseed or silicone. I'll think about it, Gail. That night I motioned to Mom and she joined me in my room. I want to have Dr. Benson help me, Mom. Boobs, hips, thighs, almost everything I'll need to be a woman, then later, the rest. I know you do, honey. Your father knows too. He isn't very happy with me, is he, Mother? He's not mad, he just cannot understand why you like being a girl so much. Watching Stephen kiss you, then treat you like your father does me really confuses him. But he loves you, and if you've noticed, he has become a bit more protective of you, something he never would have done before this all happened. I noticed that. You'll turn 18 in a few weeks, and with your medical coverage you can do as you please. But I think we can talk to the doctor and see what we can arrange. I'll call him for you tomorrow. Ms. White and I had been secluded in her office, making sure our surprise was complete. Mom arrived and stayed in the office when I made the call. Dad? Can you come to conference room 6? 5 minutes? He said he would be there and we all assembled waiting. I stood in the hallway waiting. As soon as I saw him, I took his arm and opened the door. The lights clicked on and everyone started to shout and yell. Ms. White motioned to me and I walked over. You make the announcement, Mary. I stepped up on the dais and motioned at Mom, who grabbed Dad and brought him up. I have the privilege to announce that our new general manager is my dad, Howard Grant. Mom hugged him as I did, then he raised his hands and settled the crowd down. He thanked them for their support and promised to try and make things better for them and the company. But be careful thinking that I'm old and won't be around very long. My daughter Mary has hired in and I'll teach her everything I know. That brought a few laughs and he descended into the crowd to shake hands and so on. Mom pulled me to the side and told me I had an appointment to see the doctor the next day at 10. The party lasted almost 2 hours, then Dad gave me a hug. Just how long have you known about this little party, Mary? Oh, a week, I guess. Gretchen also told me that your election to the board is this afternoon. Congratulations, Dad. Some of his staff came over, so Mom and I faded away to let him enjoy his time in the spotlight. Dr. Benson gave me a very complete physical, then he and I talked for almost an hour. So, you have been dressing and working as a female for a few months now, and all of a sudden you decide that this is the life for you? I have patients that have gone for years before they decide, and even then it is wrong. I never expected him to say any of this. I thought that what I wanted was the most important, not what someone else did. You are not yet 18. What makes you think you should become a female? I told him how it all started, then about my realization that it was right for me. How Stephen made me feel, and how I managed at work. Then I mentioned Gail, how I had always wanted to see her naked, then, when it happened, nothing. It was the most normal thing in the world. I felt no reaction at all, except envy, I guess. Gail has everything I want, need. He sat back in his chair and looked at me, no sign on his face at all. I had no idea what he was thinking, or whether he would say no, or yes. Younger patients like you are not rare, unusual maybe, but not rare. I myself have 3 other patients just about your age, Mary. One of them wants to give up on the transition. Will you give up? No. Your parents agree to this? My mother is outside. You can ask her yourself, but the answer is yes. He called his nurse, who asked Mom to join us. Do you and your husband agree to this transition for Mary? Yes, of course. We have seen her through this whole thing, and we have both noticed that she is a lot less tense, less combative, and right now is more like a daughter than some of my friends' daughters. If Mary wants to become our daughter, we support her. She's old enough to know what she wants, doctor. For the first time, a smile broke across his face. I agree as a matter of fact. Mary is old enough to decide. He gave me a prescription, then scheduled me into the clinic 2 days later. I was on a cloud waiting, unable to do much more than get by. On the morning of the day I was to go into the clinic, Mom and I drove over. Within an hour I was naked, covered only by the thin sheet, watching as the needle slipped into the 4. When I woke up I was groggy, but without pain, yet unable to raise my head. I lay there, half asleep, barely noticing Mom holding my hand. 2 hours later, with help I sat up, and noticed the twin mounds on my chest. Small, yet they meant so much to me. I touched first one, then the other, confirming that they were mine. I was released after a quick checkup, dressing in sweatpants and a sports bra with a sweatshirt. At home I went to bed, waiting until the next day to look at myself. It wasn't as messy as I thought it might be. My breasts were about an A cup, my once pudgy waist now narrow. My upper thighs just a bit bigger, my butt fuller, more rounded. Just below the waistband of my panties was a small swelling that combined with my now bigger thighs that gave me a triangular shape that surrounded what would become my vagina one day. For now, I had what appeared to be a vagina, but was just a bit of a trick. My penis and testicles had been pulled up inside of me and the skin used to create it. I still was not a female by any stretch, but closer than ever before. In a year or so, after the hormones had done their work, maybe. For now, I was very happy. Mom helped me clean the stitches, and I got dressed. It was so different to not wear any padding at all. My bra was satin, and the sensation on my nipples was very erotic, something I had never felt until now. I dressed in a skirt and blouse, then had some breakfast. Later, I walked to Gail's. Even walking was different now. Nothing extra to impede me, or constantly remind me I wasn't a girl. Gail wanted to see, of course, so in her room I slipped off my blouse. The other. Just like yours, Gail. I think Stephen is going to be very happy, Mary, and soon. I can't yet, Gail. I look like you, but I'm not complete yet. The doctor says I have to wait at least a year, maybe more for that. Then. I slipped my blouse back on, and she did my hair in a braid. I went back to work on Monday as if nothing had happened. Dad became very protective after the surgery, almost to the point of smothering me. He still did not understand, but accepted the obvious. Once, when I changed after dinner, I wore a new baby doll outfit I had bought for myself into the family room. I had on the matching robe, of course, but my brand new charms were not as well disguised as I had thought, and his eyes almost popped out. Instantly Mom was on me about it and I changed into a flannel robe. Your father is a male first, Mary. Males are visual, and dressing like that makes him uncomfortable. You need to be aware of what you have on around people, especially males. You look like a female, and even though you aren't, not many know that. Be careful. After that I began to learn what it means to be a female. How to dress for certain occasions, how to turn men off, and so on. I started college in the fall as Mary Elizabeth, since Dad had legally changed my name. Stephen and I are still going out, but I have figured out how to manipulate him. Men are so easy. Except when he touches me. I turn into a shivering mass of nerves whenever his hand touches me. The first time he touched my breast I almost fainted, but when I let his hand touch me in my panties, I knew that I wanted to do something more for him than a hand job. I almost did, but stopped short each time, telling myself that I was too young and that the time I had left before I was a real female was growing shorter each day. The rest of the family had no idea what was happening to me since they lived in another state. Mom wanted to visit them and fill them in, but between my work and school, I couldn't go. After a long discussion, I was allowed to stay home alone, but with Gail's mom and dad for backup. 3 days after they left, Stephen came over to pick me up. One thing led to another, and we ended up in my bedroom. Never in my life had I felt so feminine or so alive. I let him undress me, his hands roving over me, feeling like he had on soft satin gloves. Wearing only my panties, I undressed him completely, his lust for me sticking straight out. I never felt submissive before, yet as his hands pushed on my shoulders I sank to my knees and did what he wanted me to do. Everything about him turned me on, from his scent to the hair on his chest to his muscles. He led me to my own bed, trying valiantly to get me to remove my panties, but I couldn't. It wouldn't do him any good anyway. But he kissed me everywhere, turning me into a bundle of raw, lust-filled nerves. When he finally went home I vowed not to do that again, ignoring that small voice way back that was laughing at me, saying right. On Saturday night we went out, and I once again submitted to him. This time he managed to remove my panties. I gave myself to him the only way I could, then later, we both fell asleep. I did not hear my mother open the door. Mary. It was softly spoken but sounded like an artillery shell when I heard it. I opened my eyes and looked at her at the same moment my hand was prodding Stephen to wake up. You two get dressed. Mom closed the door and I bounded out of bed, running to the bath as Stephen quickly pulled his clothes on. A quick brush in my hair, a bit of makeup and a skirt and blouse, I grabbed his hand as we walked down the stairs. Mom was sitting on the couch, Dad nowhere in sight. Well, it looks like you two have made a commitment to each other. I sat there holding his hand, squeezing it, hoping for some more comfort. We never told you no guests, Mary, we just assumed that you would know better. Her gaze shifted to Stephen. And you. You know what Mary thinks about you, and you took advantage of her. I don't know what to do now. Why do anything, ma'am? I'm going to marry her as soon as I can anyway, all we did was confirm it between us. That was the first time I had heard him say that he was going to marry me. That sounds very nice, Stephen, and I'm sure that you love her, but this confirmation is over. She looked at both of us, then asked if we understood her. Together, we answered yes. All right then. Stephen, you go home. Mary and I have a few things to discuss. He kissed me, then left. I sat there waiting for the roof to cave in on me, and by the look on Mom's face, she was going to pull out the props. I know that you can't have vaginal sex, which means you found another way to make your man happy. Then she fell silent and I began to worry. All at once, she started to giggle. He is very handsome, isn't he? I nodded my head yes, but kept my mouth shut. Mom sighed and sat back, her eyes never leaving me. In a way, I'm not surprised at you two, Mary. I saw it coming and didn't say anything. You both have that look about you whenever the other one is around. She giggled again and asked me when my birthday was. I told her, then she asked me when their anniversary was. I told her that too. Now subtract the 2 dates, Mary. Some quick mental math told me that my parents' wedding was 7 months before I was born. Your father had the same effect on me that Stephen has on you, and I gave in to him just like you did with Stephen. Dad had to make a quick trip to the Burling plant. It's just us girls here. Come help me make some lunch, Mary. As we sat at the table, she grabbed my hand. I'm very glad that you can't get pregnant, Mary. It only takes one time and you could also be pregnant. In your case, no, but you get the idea. You and Stephen will have to wait until you get married, understand? Yes. Good. We'll keep this incident between just the three of us then. Mom never mentioned it again and Stephen and I never did it again. He asked me to marry him a month later. I accepted, then he joined the military. I was against it. He could be killed, would be far away, and I didn't want to be a military wife. I was angry at him and almost broke our engagement right then, but didn't. He left for his training within a week. Gail and I had shared many secrets, but until Stephen left, she did not know about he and I being caught in bed together. The same day he left, she and I were in my room alone when I told her. You what? Mom caught us in bed together, both of us naked as we get. She wanted blow-by-blow description, a very bad pun I know, but I couldn't resist it, and I gave it to her in vivid detail. Then he asked me to marry him, and the next thing I know he's gone. Men are pigs, Mary. Her boyfriend went in the Navy, so she understood me quite well. What we need are replacements. What do you mean replacements? Every single one of my friends that have had their boyfriends go in the military have been dumped. Something in the food, I think. I said no, of course. That lasted until I met Michael a month later. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access, thanks.